Hi guys, so today we're in a very unusual place. We are meeting a very interesting gentleman. I think I'll let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Karani. Yeah. Hi guys, Gachora, founder Project Mocha, and I'm a third generation coffee farmer. So here's my farm, and here we have Motori and Kamau in the background. They are harvesting coffee as we speak. And coffee is my passion. This is where I was born, raised, grew up doing coffee. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. So guys, today we're in a coffee farm, as you can see, and as Gachora has said. And it's very interesting to see that on one side, he's working on a blockchain project, tokenizing, or rather, he'll tell us about it on how he's bringing in blockchain into coffee farming. But before we get there, maybe you can tell us how does the supply chain of coffee looks like, especially in Kenyan context?
Okay. Let me say it's been, we have the farmer, who is, in this case, we have this farm where we grow our coffee. Coffee is harvested, and for smallholder farmers are people who have between 100 to, let's say, at most 1,000. Some farmers get to 5,000, 10,000 trees. All those are bunched into smallholder farmers.
Yeah.
Majority of them aggregate their harvest into cooperatives. So we have coffee cooperatives. These are units, registered organizations where farmers are allowed to market their coffee jointly. They have one purpose, which is to aggregate and market their coffee. And you have a cooperative, like our cooperative, we have about 1,000 members. So you have an aggregation of farmers coming together to process their coffee together.
So that's the first point of aggregation for small farmers?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
So once the coffee is at the cooperative, they process it. Most of the processing is done is wet mill. So they have, it's water intensive. Then it's dried for a period between 15 to 21 days. And now the cooperatives aggregate and take this to coffee millers.
Okay.
So that's another stage 2 of coffee processing, milling.
So milling is where they crush it into powder?
Not yet. So after the coffee bean has dried, there are different husks that have to be removed. Let me demonstrate with one.
Yeah. So these are the berries that come from the plant?
Yes, coffee beans, berries. This is where we get our coffee bean from.
Right.
So the first level of, this is what farmers get and aggregate to the coffee cooperative.
Yeah.
So different farmers, and here is where our first point of failure is some farmers are taking care of their farms, others are not.
Okay.
So the quality of berries, it will be different. Some will have insects, some will be healthy, others will be unkept. All this coffee is put together without having...
There's no segregation of, or grading of based on the quality of coffee bean?
No, at the cooperative level, what they look at mostly is the weight. How many kgs have you brought?
Okay, I see.
But the quality of the bean, so long as you've sorted it right, we don't get to know these coffees from which farmer. It's all mixed into one pot.
Right, okay.
And immediately when the coffee gets to the cooperatives, we lose our unique identity as farmers. I can't say that if I take 200 kilos, I can never claim that these are my 200 kilos of coffee.
So there's an area of improvement, especially when it comes to quality control at that point.
Yes, and that's why traceability is a big thing. Because we cannot trace back. See, we keep aggregating and we don't have markers that identify so that we can keep tracing the coffee all the way back to the particular farm it came from.
Right.
So first level of drying is, this is what the cooperative does, is they get rid of this is called
looks like
the husk, yes.
The husk, okay.
And most cooperatives wash, you see, maybe you can feel this.
It's slippery.
Yes, it's called mucilage.
But I would think at this point it has been dried or not yet?
So
when they remove the husk?
No, it hasn't been dried yet.
Okay.
They first remove it, then wash the sugar off. You see that slippery?
So that's the sugar.
This is the coffee sugar.
Okay.
So this is what they wash off, then dry. Now this is called parchment. They dry it after washing this sugar off.
Okay.
So the milling is now, this parchment is now taken to the mill and they get rid of the white the white coating.
Yeah.
And
Oh, there's another skin
Oh,
that
yes.
need to be removed.
which is this white one.
Oh, okay.
So if you remove the white one, you'll find now there's a green bean inside, and that's the
Green.
coffee bean. I'm trying to get it. It's a bit
So,
simple.
so that inside part is the one now that
Now that's the coffee we
goes that into a cup.
roaster.
Ah,
So
I
it's
see.
then roasted.
Yeah.
The bean is roasted. Then whatever is roasted is ground, and you can now brew it.
Yeah, I have a question because from the whole berry, it seems like a significant part of the berry is shaved off.
Yes.
Are those materials which are shaved off used elsewhere or recycled or something? Are they useful or they are just waste?
No, there's quite a lot of use cases are emerging on the use of the coffee husks. From normally they're used as fertilizer because they're just recycled back to the farm.
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
as a farmer, you can go to the cooperative and collect the husks once they have dried, and you can bring them back to the farm as manure.
Okay.
However, there's an industry like these are really good. These coffee beauty products.
Oh,
yes.
oh yeah.
If you dry this husk, it's good for growing, especially for growing things items like mushrooms.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
This can also be used as a tea if you dry it well. There's a way you get a coffee tea from it. So there's just so much that we can, with proper research and investment, there's a lot more we can do with the husk before it's now recycled back into the farm. I'm actually aware there are some guys who are looking at now creating briquettes, like renewable energy from the dry coffee husks. So there's quite a lot that can be done.
Yeah. Ah, interesting. Now those inner parts have been dried, and is it what we get as this?
So
after
this is roasted coffee. For you, this is so at our auction, coffee sold at our local auction. So we started with the cooperative. It went to the miller. From the miller, it went to the auction. So we auction our coffee before it's roasted.
Ah, okay. Okay, that's the practice.
Yeah. So the bean is sold off, and we lose trace of it as a country now.
Yeah. And this is something that we can do locally. Why do we have to export unroasted coffee?
Mostly it's the consumer. We don't have a coffee culture here in Kenya.
Right.
So more than 95% of coffee is exported. And for the sake of getting it, coffee is sweetest when freshly ground and freshly roasted as well. So the roasters, the consumers prefer to roast it closer to the consumer rather than roast it here, and because the minute you roast it, it now has a shelf life.
Yeah, super. Now, I think we've pretty much gotten the whole supply chain, and that's why now, after roasting, then it goes to the restaurants,
the coffee shops, and you find it either retail or to your coffee shop.
Yeah, interesting. Now, you have introduced blockchain in that supply chain.
Okay.
I want to understand that part. How is blockchain useful? Where is it fitting in that coffee supply chain?
How we are bringing in blockchain into the conversation is, so from that narrative, you realize that the value of, we sell our coffee semi-processed, and 70% of the value of coffee accrues after it's roasted.
Okay.
So to allow us to, because we are not consuming our coffee, to allow us to get value from this coffee, we are creating a token. We're introducing now the whole process from the farm, the tree on chain, and the coffee bean that we have here locally on chain as well, so that now we can get to access the world, because the current state of coffee as it is, when the coffee gets to the consumer, we've already sold it rather.
Right.
And so how we bring ourselves into the question, into the table, is by having now our assets, which are the coffee trees and the coffee beans on chain.
So let me get this. So that's whole spectrum of coffee supply chain. What you're saying is, for us, we are handling a very small part. That's how it's been, and therefore we are delivering very little value, because our sort of part is just only growing and taking it to the cooperative. So by bringing in blockchain, it means we are much more in control of that supply chain, and therefore derive more value from it.
Yes, bringing this asset. So the problem here, the root. Let's go to the problem. It's access to capital. So for us to continue managing our farms, continue growing this coffee, we need to have a steady flow of capital to come and do the coffee is capital and labor intensive to manage. Yeah.
Right.
So by selling our coffee semi-processed, we don't get our value back. We get
clearly. Yeah.
So to get now a different capital for our farm is we've opted to go through the tokenization route, which is bring these assets on chain and access either liquidity from central or decentralized ecosystems, DEX system or central exchanges, like from the retail, and bring this capital back into the farm.
So when you talk about real-world asset tokenization, that's what we mean?
Yes, that's ideally it. It's bringing assets that are not native on the internet, it's not even on the blockchain, but assets that are not found online, and bringing them on chain so that they can interact with the assets that we have on chain. So my view of the ecosystem is that we have a lot of money on chain. Yeah, most of the products we have right now are money based. And for us to access these products, we need to exchange. We are used to token swapping. So what do we swap ourselves? What do we swap to get this liquidity? We bring our assets or tokens that represent our assets. Then we can now exchange this for value, which is the liquidity that we have on chain.
That's powerful because, I mean, no shade, but most of the tokens that we have on blockchain, they're not backed by anything. But this is actually backed by something physical. You can actually come and trace it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, correct, yeah, most of the assets on chain currently are not backed by anything, but I'd say it's more of the progression of the ecosystem. We had to learn how to create money first before you can learn how to create representation of trees on chain. So I wouldn't be too hard on our ecosystem.
So we are growing from, now the next evolution of tokenization is now real world tokenization.
Yeah, yes.
Real world assets tokenization.
Because the whole point, we are all talking about bringing X number of people on chain.
Right.
We have money on chain and the financial systems. Now we have ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Sure.
So the traditional financiers are getting on chain. So what this liquidity requires are assets, and this is now the next step of now Web3 is to bring now hard assets on chain so that then we can trade.
Yeah. For Africans who are watching this, because I think Africa, we are among the top coffee producers.
Yes.
But we face pretty much the same problem as you've described. What would you tell them the future looks like, especially when you bring in a technology like blockchain?
I'd say this is the next step in the evolution of money.
Right.
So you find that Africa is wealthy. We are, I believe, well, the wealthiest continent.
Right.
One, by land size, Africa is quite huge. Secondly, in terms of the resources, whether it's oil or gold or gems and other naturally occurring resources, whether it's the forest or trees, water, we are wealthy in terms of our assets.
Right.
The thing is that we are not able to, one, correctly represent these assets and assign value to them. So for all the gemstones we have in the Congo, for all the gold we have in Zimbabwe, by being able to tokenize, we are bringing this value on chain. And that's, I think, how we get ourselves onto the table.
Awesome. This is powerful. How can people join your movement or what you are doing?
We have our website. You can go to Project Mocha, www.projectmocha.com.
I think we will put all that information in our channels as well for guys to follow Mocha.
Our website, get on our socials, you'll find us. We have our community on Telegram.
Sure.
And if you're, for those, because most people have been asking, how do you get to invest in the trees? Right now we are building the protocols necessary to allow now you to get a coffee tree token. So we have, presently we have a wait list on our website. And as soon as we are announcing, we'll get in touch with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Great job. This is very unique, I think, what you're doing. And, as Gachora, this is the projects that we want to see and support. Okay. So we are certainly that there are a lot of ways that we can support or rather collaborate on. Yeah. So yeah, good job. This is good. And guys, I'm sure you're selling this coffee as well for anyone who would want to buy.
Yeah, right? Our coffee, we're already selling this from September. We are in the market. So get us anywhere on our website, on our socials, just DM us. and you'll get a coffee to you.
And these coffee beans came from this trace?
Yes, these are from the farm.
That's good, man. Yeah. All right, man.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Guys, you've heard it. So if you want to reach out to Project Mocha, I will share all the details. Please support them. First, by buying these coffee beans. I'm personally going to try them out, but also see how they are tokenizing coffee and see how you can support them. Peace.